recitation.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تقدموا بين يدي الله ورسوله واتقوا الله إن الله سميع عليم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا ترفعوا أصواتكم فوق صوت النبي ولا تجهروا له بالقول كجهر بعضكم لبعض أن تحبط أعمالكم وأنتم لا تشعرون. إن الذين يغضون أصواتهم عند رسول الله أولئك الذين امتحن الله قلوبهم للتقوى لهم مغفرة وأجر عظيم. إن الذين ينادونك من وراء الحجرات أكثرهم لا يعقلون. ولو أنهم صبروا حتى تخرج إليهم لكان خيرا لهم والله غفور رحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن جاءكم فاسق بنبأ فتبينوا أن تصيبوا قوما بجهالة فتصبحوا على ما فعلتم نادمين. واعلموا أن فيكم رسول الله لو يطيعكم في كثير من الأمر لعنتم ولكن الله حبب إليكم الإيمان وزينه في قلوبهم وكره إليكم الكفر والفسوق والعصيان أولئك هم الراشدون فضلا من الله ونعمة والله عليم حكيم. وإن طائفتان من المؤمنين اقتتلوا فأصلحوا بينهما فإن بغت إحداهما على الأخرى فقاتلوا التي تبغي حتى تفيء إلى أمر الله فإن فاءت فأصلحوا بينهما بالعدل وأقسطوا إن الله يحب المقسطين. إنما المؤمنون إخوة فأصلحوا بين أخويكم واتقوا الله لعلكم ترحمون. صدق الله العلي العظيم.
Thank you very much, Fatima, for that beautiful recitation. Very relevant that we finish with a verse on how to behave when two sets of Muslims are fighting with each other, because that sets us nicely towards the speech, the talk we have today. We're very fortunate to have Mr. El-Tahir El-Faki with us today, who, as well as being my teacher and being responsible for having taught me everything I know about emergency medicine, he also has a side role where he is the chairman of the Legislative Assembly of the Sudanese Justice and Equality Movement. He's going to be updating us about the current situation in the Sudan with a talk entitled The Roving General and the Scourge of the Janjaweed in Sudan. So without further ado, can we please welcome him forward with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
السلام عليكم. يا الله بسم الله يا رب. First of all, I'm very grateful and very happy to be in this center And I thank all the organizers of this center for having me to give you a talk about what is happening in Sudan, and the relative ayat which our daughter just recited were absolutely relative to what has been going on. And this center is a center of peace, and peace will prevail. And the situation in Sudan is very dire, and okay, yeah. The situation in Sudan is very dire, and it needs a lot of work to bring it back to what it was, and perhaps to improve it. I'm going to give a very short speech for about Sudan and what is happening at the moment, and the title is Rogue General and the Scourge of the Janjaweed in Sudan. So just to start very shortly about Sudan. Sudan is an African country, and it is in the northern part of Africa, north of which is Egypt, west of which is Libya, Chad, Central Africa, south of which is South Sudan, and east of which is Eritrea, Ethiopia, and the Red Sea lies in the eastern part, separating Sudan from Saudi Arabia. The country is huge. It was 1 million before the 1/3 of it went to the south of Sudan. The capital of Sudan is Khartoum, and Khartoum is made of three big cities. Khartoum North, which lies on the eastern part of the Nile, the western which is Omdurman, and between the two Niles is Khartoum. It resides about 6.5 million reside in Khartoum, and most of which are coming from the different part of Sudan. If we went back to Sudan history, if you read about Sudan history, it is most related to Egypt, because Egypt have been a dominant partner all through, and Sudan have adopted what was being in Egypt. And if we look at the history of Sudan in the last 3,000 years, the pharaohs were part of Egypt, and also were part of Sudan. And if we look now at the number of pyramids in Sudan, there are more pyramids in Sudan than in Egypt. If you read about Sudan, you will hear or you will learn that there are some people called the Kushite. These Kushite people were part of the dynasties that ruled south of Egypt, and also Sudan. Although Sudan specifically is not specified in geographical context, but they say Sudan because Sudan means in Arabic means that the land of the black people. So there is no clear demarcation between south of Egypt and Sudan per se, but some scholars call the area of Sudan right extending from east to the west, including all those groups from all the directions and forming what's called Sudan. The Egyptians were Christians before, and Sudan was pagans. Then gradually, the Sudanese in the upper Egypt and upper Sudan became Christians until in the 6th century the Arabs came to Sudan and introduced Islam. But the horrendous thing was when they introduced Islam, they had a treaty with the people in the north of Sudan, the treaty called the Pact, and this Pact was for the people of Sudan to hand 400 slaves per year to the invaders of the Arab invaders, and that was how the Arabs came into Sudan. Some of whom moved west and went into the area of Darfur. So the Arabs settled as newcomers. The land was owned by the indigenous people, but unfortunately, gradually, as the Arabs settled, they started to displace the people of the indigenous ground and displace them from their areas, and that has accumulated and become a problem for the country. In the 14th century, the Ottoman Empire came into Sudan, and Islam became the religion of most of Sudan. In 1880, the Ottomans sent for gold and slaves to get the slaves and to get gold from Sudan, because the country is so rich in gold that it is called the land of gold. So the Ottomans came and occupied Sudan, and that led to people starting to fight for their right, and the rise of what was called Imam Muhammad Ahmad al-Mahdi. Imam Muhammad Ahmad al-Mahdi from the northern part of Sudan. He was born in 1843 and died in 1885, and he formed the Mahdiya, and this Mahdiya fought the Egyptians and the Ottomans to regain Sudan's independence. At that time, the British sent Gordon of Khartoum to rule Khartoum and to evacuate the Egyptians and the English and the other nationalities from Khartoum when Imam Muhammad Ahmad al-Mahdi seized Khartoum. Unfortunately for Gordon, he was too late for him to move or to get out of Khartoum, and he was killed. When he was killed, Khartoum was taken by Imam Muhammad Ahmad al-Mahdi, and unfortunately Imam Muhammad Ahmad al-Mahdi didn't survive long, and within 6 months he passed away, and that he was succeeded by Khalifa Abdullah, and Khalifa Abdullah is from Darfur. He is Khalifa Abdullah Ta'ashi from the Arab part of Darfur. He is not from the indigenous group, and as we later we will know that these are part of the Janjaweed. Khalifa Abdullah succeeded Imam Mahdi and became the ruler of Sudan, and he was a very strange and eccentric leader, and he went into wars, and at the end he was fighting the British And in the British sent Kitchener, and Kitchener came and killed him in 1898, and Sudan became a colony for the Egyptians, for the English in support with the Egyptians. The Khalifa Abdullah Taishi was killed in a battle called in Karari, which now there are wars in Karari now in between the same group of people coming from that area and the Sudan army. And Khalifa Abdullah Taishi also, he raided people in the northern part of Sudan and did a lot of damage by displacement, by killing, by burning, by pillaging, by raping, by a lot of atrocities that are inhuman. And when the British came and killed him, at least things have settled down. The followers of the Mahdiya did not go to Khalifa Abdullah Taishi, but it went into the children of Imam al-Mahdi, and the fairest of his children was Imam Abdurrahman al-Mahdi, who was born in 1885 and died in 1995, just three years after the independence of Sudan. And we can see the tomb of Mahdi in Omdurman, and when you go there, you can see the tomb is still there, visited by the followers, everything. And from the family of Al-Mahdi, we call them Ahl al-Bayt, and Ahl al-Bayt is Imam al-Hadi. Imam al-Hadi was the first child of Imam Ahmad al-Mahdi. His other son was Imam Ahmad al-Mahdi, and the last is Imam Sadiq al-Mahdi, who just passed away in 2020. And Imam al-Hadi in 1971 tried to stand against Nimeri regime. It was a military ruler, and unfortunately he was killed. His son Sadiq is a hero of the Mahdiya, but he was not contesting the Mahdiya and the imamship with Sadiq al-Mahdi. Ahmad al-Mahdi was involved in politics, but not as famous as his other friend. In 1956, the Sudan got its independence, and when it became independent, there was a democratic rule, only to last for a few years, and there was a coup, and the coup in 1958 by General Ibrahim Aboud. He lasted for 6 years, and then a revolution came and displaced him. Then again, Nimeri came into power by staging a coup in 1969, and it was supported. That coup was supported by the communists and the leftists. Unfortunately, the communists were not happy with the behavior of Nimeri, and they started to make a coup against him, and there was bloodshed and people were killed. But the Sudanese people are Muslims, and they did not like the communists, so they revolt against the communists, and the communists were ousted. Then in 1989, the Muslim brothers under Turabi and Bashir took over. Then when they took over, they tried to hide their face of Islamism, but at the end, people knew that these are the Muslim brothers, and the international community also thought they were fooled, but they gradually knew that that was an Islamic regime. Whatever that regime is, the problem of the Sudan became apparent when the situation started in Darfur, when the people of Darfur starting to fight for their right, and that they are being marginalized. And this marginalization was indicated and brought properly in the what you call the Black Book. The Black Book is, when you read about Sudan, you will hear about the Black Book. The Black Book is a product, and the authors are our people from the Justice and Equality Movement, and it is impeccably showing that there is a balance, there is an imbalance of power, an imbalance of wealth to favor the people from the northern part. This did not become good for Bashir, and Bashir sent people to stop people from Darfur, and then genocide started. So Bashir was indicted for genocide. At this moment, Bashir employed what we call the Janjaweed. And the Janjaweed, for you to know, the Janjaweed, there is no specific definition for the Janjaweed because they are Arabs, they are riding horses or riding camels, they are carrying AK-47 or Kalashnikovs, and they have no mercy. They kill, they pillage, they displace, they burn, they rape, they do everything you can think of inhuman behavior. And this is what the Janjaweed they do. So people of Darfur, about 3 million of them have been displaced, and 300,000 were killed. One of those who have been supporting and part of these atrocities is called Hemeti, and you will know now Hemeti. Now his name is coming. His name is coming as we speak, because Hemeti, if we give a short autobiography about him, he is from the Arab group called Mahriya, and this Mahriya also related to Abdullah Taishi, who was Khalifa Abdullah Taishi. So he was born in Chad, and the exact date of his birth was not known, but people think that he must have been born about 1976. Hemeti went to the primary school in Sudan and didn't finish it. He went and started trading in camel and donkeys. Then suddenly, when he heard that Arab people are fighting in support of the government against the indigenous people of Darfur, he came and joined what we call the Janjaweed, and he became a fighter against the indigenous people in Darfur. He was known for his brutality, known for his, he is very calm. I've been with him, I've seen him, I met him. He was very calm, he was but deeper in him, the guy is really brutal and a real killer. And one of the stories that went in Darfur, that 57 people of Darfurian origin were thrown into a well at one time, and the result of the atrocity, as I said, about 300,000 were killed and 3 million were displaced. Now the number have increased because the atrocities and the pillaging, the killing, the displacement, the burning, the destruction of infrastructure has gone far beyond what happened in 2003 at the beginning of the Darfur problem. The Hemeti, as a trader of camel and donkeys, he realized that his ambitions were higher than what he was supposed to be, and he joined the Janjaweed and became part of what we call the border guard. And this border guard, he understood that the best way to do is to put pressure on the authority and Bashir so that he can get a better situation. Bashir was under a lot of pressure internationally and also nationally. So he wanted people who can support him to carry out his atrocities against the Darfurian people and against the marginalized, and he found no better one other than Hemeti. So Hemeti realized that he was wanted and he was a value to Bashir. He tried and did blackmail from a simple corps, from simple soldier. He managed to get to the rank of a full general, lieutenant general. He never been to school more than just primary school. He never been to education, military education. He just because he was pushing and became a full lieutenant general in the Sudanese army, and he formed what is called the Rapid Support Force. This Rapid Support Force, Bashir made this Rapid Support Force to protect him against the fightings in Darfur. The Rapid Support Force started by just few thousands, but once Bashir asked Hemeti to get him 6,000, 5,000 fighters, and Hemeti immediately managed to get him 6,000 from his own families and from his own tribe, the tribe called Mahria. Yeah, the Mahria. So Hemeti did not stop at just getting a general. He wanted to become a ruler of Sudan. So when Bashir was contested by the masses and a revolution came, he managed to get to become the second man in the country, second to Al-Burhan, who is the sovereignty leader of Sudan. So Hemeti became the second man. He was not content with what his position was, so he planned to get to number one, and then on the 15th of April 2023, he staged a coup, and suddenly Khartoum was bombarded. And now what is happening in Sudan is there is killing, there is pillaging, there is burning, there is destruction of infrastructure. Almost all the hospitals, the schools, the universities, the infrastructure have been destroyed. And Hemeti, instead of having 6,000, he brought his family and the Arab people into his rapid support force, and he attacked Khartoum with 138,000 of his forces. The Sudanese army in total is far less than 38,000 when he attacked Khartoum. At the moment, the situation is still there, but now the Sudanese people are mobilizing themselves to have and carry up arms to protect themselves and fight against the Janjaweed. So the scourge of the Janjaweed is the destruction, the killing, the pillaging, the rape. And strangely enough, now they are selling women, they are selling young girls from 14, 15, and they are selling them abroad to Niger, to Mali, to Central Africa and Chad and Libya. And this is all what I have been saying, documented not by us, it is documented by the international groups, documented by the human rights activists, and also the international community, not accusing, blaming and telling the international community that United Arab Emirates is behind all of this and supporting Hemeti to carry all of these atrocities in Sudan. Sorry, it's the 25. halfway. Okay, that's all right. I thought, yeah, that's why I miss a lot of things. I thought because I have only 30 minutes to tell you, but what is happening now is Himeti, when he attacked Khartoum on the 15th of April 2023, he was 100% sure that he would take the country by surprise. And reports from New York Times and the Washington Post also spoke about the plans that were being put by Himeti and his supporters was really 100%. There was no plan B for him to adopt. It was plan A, and that was it, that he was going to succeed. But the Sudanese army managed to absorb the fairest shock of the incident. And strangely, Hemeti, when he lost the chance to get to the power immediately, he accused the others of inciting and starting the war. But the war, when it started on the 15th in the morning at 8:30 in the morning. But 3 days before, he occupied the airport of an area called Marawi, and this area is very important for flights from United Arab Emirates to bring support to the rebels and to Hemeti, so he can carry on of what he wanted to do. But unfortunately for Hemeti, the Sudanese army was vigilant to what happened, and because it was a surprise even to the chief of the army, Burhan. He was caught by surprise. He was in his bunker, supported by 35 officers who all died in the attack by Hemeti, and he managed to stay in the bunker. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Hemeti, the whole thing is Hemeti was planning this well in advance. When he planned, he had 138,000 personnel attacking Khartoum against 38,000 in the whole country of the Sudanese army. So it is not the Sudanese army that started the war. It was Hemeti who started the war. So because Hemeti is not only a man who cannot be trusted, he is a man who everybody should be afraid of in Sudan. The beginning, as I said, he was just a soldier. He managed to climb to become a full lieutenant general. He led the Janjaweed. He became also part of the border guard. He formed the RSF, which is the Rapid Support Forces, and his ride is become a good way for the Arabs to follow him. He was very popular among the Arabs, and because he brought his brother, who called Abdurrahim, to become his second commander. And also, strangely, Abdurrahim, also from a corporal, he became a lieutenant general, a major general as well. So the family of Hemeti, we call them Al-Dagalo, and these Al-Dagalo have become the inheritors of the power in Sudan. So when Bashir fell, Hemeti came out publicly and said he was not supporting Bashir, but Bashir was the one who gave him and made him lieutenant general. And we can see there we have Hemeti with Bashir as friends. And then when Bashir went into jail, he came and said that he never supported Bashir, and he was only supporting the people. But all documents have shown that the Janjaweed were actually killing. They were also doing all the atrocities. Here also we see Hemeti with Musa Hilal. Musa Hilal is a cousin of Hemeti. The guy in the dark dress is called Musa Hilal. Musa Hilal was the leader of the Janjaweed at the beginning of the 2003, and he was the commander of Hemeti. When Hemeti became the second man, he took the gold mines in an area called Jebel Amir, and in Jebel Amir, Hemeti managed to work with Wagner Group. If you know Wagner Group, is led by the late Prigozhin of Russia, and they steal the raw gold and send it to Russia and send it to United Arab Emirates. Then when Hemeti fell with Musa Hilal, he managed to abduct him while Musa Hilal was mourning the death of his mom, and took him to Khartoum, and he was put in jail. So this is the second treasonous behavior of Hemeti against his friend. This is General Awad ibn Auf, who was only president for 24 hours. When the revolution came, General Awad ibn Auf took over, and he was fully supported by Hemeti. Then, when the masses came out and said, this is a Muslim brother, and the people did not want him, then he had to resign. And Hemeti thought also, because he's the best friend of Hemeti, so Hemeti stood against him again. So we have three people. We have Bashir, we have Musa Hilal, we have Awad ibn Auf. All of them have been fooled and have been treated badly by their old friend Hemeti. As I said, I spoke about that Hemeti and Al-Dagalo, the bears of period training camels, military border guards, and the Janjaweed and all the Musa Hilal. So this is General Hemeti with the Rapid Support Force, RSF, the Rapid Support Forces. If you look at this view, all of them look the same, and they are very young. And these are the families of Arabs from not only from Sudan, from Chad, from Niger, from Libya, from Mali, from Mauritania, and these Arabs now believe that they are going to bring Quraysh to. And Quraysh to, this is what they believe. And they have to displace all the Sudanese and the non-Arab groups and the black people from their indigenous land, and replace them with these people. So in one month, Hemeti, before the war started, he managed to give about 1 million passports to those Arabs from the other areas, from Chad, Niger, South, Central Africa, Libya, and Mali. So we've spoken about General Hemeti's ambitions, and his ambitions was to become number one and to become the leader of Quraysh and revive the duration of Arabism or Arabization in the first Islamic period, and their behavior is exactly nearly the same as when the Muslims, whether people now accept it or not, some of the Muslims who went and fought in areas like Iran, like Iraq, their behavior was not acceptable, because not only they changed the values of the people in that area, but the killing and the looting and taking possession of the indigenous people was not acceptable. So this is General Abdel Fattah Burhan. He is the leader now of Sudan. He is the leader of the Sovereign Council, and Hemeti used to be his second man, and not only second man, they were friends during their problems in Darfur, and they worked for years together, best friends, and we have so many photos of them together at home in Mr. Burhan's home. So this is the fourth one. He's been also deceived and been deceived by Hemeti. So it becomes a pattern. Now you can see they are both together, but later he was a traitor to him. During the late time of Bashir, the military, the masses, and you can see these are doctors and nurses, and the masses all went in 2019 and fought at the streets against Bashir. And Hemeti at that time, he was against the people of the revolution. But suddenly, when he realized that Bashir was about to fall, he changed and stood with the people, and some people were chanting that Hemeti was in support of the people, but when in reality he was not supporting, he was in fact only for himself. So the public, when they went out, they were calling for peace, justice, and civilian, and they managed to go in what we call the sit-in, and that sit-in was demanding for the Sovereign Council, the Military Council, to give the power to the people, to give the power to the civilians. Then it didn't work. So when the revolution succeeded, we have Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdok. This Abdullah Hamdok used to work for the United Nations economic and business activities. He also had his PhD from Manchester here, and became the first prime minister. He was a weak prime minister, and when he went, he said there was no program provided for him, which is wrong. He should have had a program by himself, and he should follow it. He was very popular among the international community, and Sudan was accepted as coming back from dictatorship to a civilian rule, but the transitional council of the Sovereignty Council were not happy, and a coup happened against him in October, 25th October. That was the problem now. When Hamdok was weak, he couldn't rule properly. Then the army made the coup against him on the 25th of October 2020. When he was in prison, but he said he wasn't in prison. He was with Burhan in Burhan's home. Then he managed to have an agreement to come back as prime minister, but the people were very angry against him, and they were not happy with him getting to have the military back in power. There are external pressures in Sudan by the United Nations, and the United Nations came into Sudan because Hemeti Abdullah Hamdok, the prime minister, secretly wrote to the United Nations asking them to intervene to support for bringing a civilian government. But when it became it came out, people realized that Hamdok was behind the scene trying to put Sudan under the protection of the international community rather than the Sudanese themselves sort themselves out. So during this period in 2020, when Abdullah Hamdok was ruling, then a resolution by the United Nations formed what's called the UNITAMIS, which is the United Nations Integrated Transitional Support for Sudan, and it had paternity of three small political parties who will follow and become the rulers of Sudan. And in that there came what is called the framework agreement. And when you look at the Sudanese history, you see some people say that the whole thing that brought the country to this war is the framework agreement, and the framework agreement is being articulated by the UNITAMIS and the guy called Fokker. Fokker is a German diplomat appointed by the United Nations Security Council to run the affairs of Sudan. So he behaved as if he was the ruler of Sudan, and the people were unhappy with him. So the tension started between Fokker, United Nations, and the Sudan government. So when you hear that the problem of Sudan was due to the framework agreement, some people who support Hamdok believed in the framework agreement. Some of the others were not believing in it. This is already the Janjaweed I've already spoken to you about, the definition, and the herding. They are herding nomads, Rizaigat Arab tribes from Darfur, Central Africa, Niger, and Mali, and the most infamous is Musa Hilal. And Musa Hilal is the cousin of Hemeti, and they all formalize into the border guards. And Hemeti is from a kin called the Mahariya branch, and the Mahariya branch mutinied for non-payment of. These are the Janjaweed. If you look there, the guys are riding horses, riding camels, and carrying Kalashnikov. These are the people who do all the atrocities, the killings, and then in 2005, the ICC indicted and investigated Bashir and also Hemeti for genocide and war crimes and human rights abuse. The ICC also charged with Bashir with 3 counts of genocide and 2 counts of war crimes. And in 2013, there was an uprising in Khartoum, and that uprising was brutally suppressed by the Janjaweed, and it was Hemeti who did that. Now the Janjaweed have moved from being just on camel. You can see now some of them are in camel and some of them are in vehicles, and these vehicles are called satchers. These satchers, they now, when Hemeti on the 15th of April 2023, when he invaded Khartoum, he had over 2,000 of these thatchers, each of which carries 15 to 20 fighters. So Hemeti dealt with Bashir, and he got the rank of an officer, and also he had a back pay with lump sum handout under the normal command of National Intelligence and Security Services. In August 2013, the RSF is formed, and Hemeti became the public not only supporter, the public defender of Bashir. Hemeti, Bashir called him Himayti. Himayti in Arabic means my protector. So instead of calling him Hemeti, he used to call him Himayti, means my protector. So the ICC indicted Bashir. That is what we have, the Janjaweed fights. The Janjaweed fought against the Darfur rebels. And for our side, we are in the Justice and Equality movement. We were defeated in 2014 by the Janjaweed, and most of our fighters were routed in that because Hemeti had a strong and support and a lot of ammunition and weapon from the government. Hemeti also fought against the Sudan Armed Forces (SAF), which is now what is happening. Khartoum is no longer Khartoum, and not only Khartoum, he's now managed to take four states of the 5 states in Darfur, and he wasn't managing them. They just pillage, they kill, they burn, and they destroy, and leave the people without anything of support. And there is no rule of law, and there is no follow-up of support for the people. And strangely enough, the Janjaweed are not fighting the Sudan Armed Forces. They are fighting the people. They are occupying people's homes. They are looting. They are taking their possessions. And it is counted that nearly 500,000 vehicles stolen from Sudan and sent to Chad, to to Central Africa, Niger, Mali, and Libya. Now the war also started to expand into Chad, Central Africa, and Libyan General Haftar. He is supported by the United Arab Emirates, and the arms come from Libya, and the Wagner group are still, even though their leader died, but still they are extracting gold and sending it to United Arab Emirates. People may ask me why the United Arab Emirates are supporting the Janjaweed. We actually don't know, and this question we have asked the United Arab Emirates: why are you supporting the Janjaweed to kill the people and to destroy the country and bring it to rubble? We didn't have an answer. It is, but it must be an internationally plan being carried out by the United Arab Emirates. And the Janjaweed, now the Janjaweed have the allies of them. It's called the Forces for Freedom and Change. And these are guys who have now also been supported and given support and money and residence by the United Arab Emirates. There is also, when the Sudanese people realize that the Forces for Freedom and Change are becoming abhorrent, nobody wants them, they managed to change their name into Coordination of Civil and Democratic Force. So it is the same people giving themselves another name. And Addis Ababa, which is the capital of Ethiopia, also they have interest in Sudan, so they were allies to Hemeti. And the role of the international community and countries different. We heard that about 17 countries are benefiting from what is happening in Sudan. So the Janjaweed atrocities are pillaging, killing, and in January 2024, just last month, the international community and the United Nations Security Council reports said that 10 to 15,000 people were killed in Western Darfur, and they were burned, and some of them were buried alive. So they're burning the villages, they are burying victims alive, they are looting people's and possessions, they are raping women and selling them now in the markets in Niger, in Chad, in Libya, and Central Africa. They are destroying also infrastructure and the hospitals, and they are occupying people's home. So the conflict so far, people think that it is between Hemeti and Burhan. It is not. It is now the people, the Hemeti against the people, and now the people are mobilized to protect themselves. And so Hemeti is succeeding now in 5 states. There is loss of some of his forces and military equipment. The chief of the army came and said that fighting Hemeti needs like digging with a needle. So people thought, why the army is not coming out and fighting? But if they came out and fight the way the Janjaweed fight, quick, fast, and kill and disappear. The army has its rules of engagement. They have their ways and the ways of protecting themselves and protecting the public, but the Janjaweed do not have that. So that's why the war has now taken nearly 11 months since the start. And during this period, now people realize that gradually Hemeti is losing the grip, and he lost most of his forces, and the Sudanese army stayed in defense in their garrisons, and there is mass public mobilization, and the people are now training in training camps, and there are some political activities to explain to the international community, as I am explaining it to you now, and the role of outsiders should be counteracted. Now, even though we are fighting, we are asking also for political negotiations, because even at moments of severe, dire fighting, most of the problems internationally end up in negotiations. So we are not against negotiations. We are looking for observed ceasefire. We wanted humanitarian corridors and support. We want the political negotiations and the interim period, and we want an interim period of arrangement. And now I just heard today that the army wants during Ramadan from next week there will be cessation of hostilities, and hopefully during this period we are going to see things improve. So what we want from the Janjaweed is to leave the people's homes, leave the strategic places, the hospitals, the government offices, the national institutions, stop destroying the infrastructure, stop terrorizing the people and raping women, stop looting people's properties, return all the stolen properties, hand over the criminals to them. There is what's called the Juba Agreement. The Juba Agreement was before the war in 2023. There was an agreement between us, the fighters for Darfur, and the government of Sudan, in what's called the Juba Agreement, and that the Juba Agreement has been accepted and is the gold standard of an agreement that is heeded. And in that agreement, the paramilitaries were not allowed to carry up arms any longer, and they will be integrated in the Sudanese army, and the country should have one state army. So we want a peaceful resolution. We want a single army, and we dissolve the paramilitaries. We want the true federal in the long term and a confederal in an interim period. We want a democratic freedom, respect of human rights that conforms to the international laws, not to interfere with other affairs. Then about religion. Religion has been a factor in Sudan. Although Hemeti speaks about religion and that he is a Muslim, he is a man of peace, but all of these atrocities are in the name of Islam. And when they go and raid areas and kill people, they are saying Allahu Akbar. And who they are killing, they are Muslims themselves. So what sort of religion is that? So the incorporation of shared human values, and these human values between religious and secular systems, such as the honesty, respect of humanity, and agreed international definitions of decency. This is what we want, and we want retaining democratic rights of all citizens, and role of the Sharia law, and people should make a choice. If they want to have a Sharia law, then they have to integrate others within that context. The future of Sudan. We want the future of Sudan in six. If you look there, the Sudan before was Sudan and South Sudan together. Now the South went its way. The North stood with six states, and the South become a secular democratic new Sudan. What we want is those six states or six regions. They form what is called the United States of Sudan, and then all the United Regional Sudan. They come together and form a new Sudan. And this is the module before the separation of Sudan into two. The secular part of secular South, and a confederal North and a confederal South. So this is, if you look at it, an independent South went its way, and an independent North, which is now fighting for survival. And the federal government will form of those central regions, and there are 4 regions, Kurdistan, the 6 of them. Under them will become the states, under them will become the locals. That is what we want. Here we see what is happening in Sudan. These people, look at them. They are in the desert. They're in the desert, displaced, hungry. There is no water. There is nothing for them. And this is hunger and displacement. That is what's going on in the area. And these are burning of the villages, and you can see poor people. They have houses of huts, houses of reed, and reed is just easy to burn. The Janjaweed come and kill them, and they burn their possession and loot the little things they have. These are the women. The women go for something for making fire, and they go wood in the desert, and on their way they are being raped and sold by the Janjaweed. Also, during Bashir's reign, there was humiliation for women, beating them publicly, and those situations we are against. We are not for it. We want democratic. We want the human right to be extended and women to be respected. One thing, just to end this presentation, is why Sudan has been marred by these problems. My own view is that whenever the country is rich, there are people, there are groups, there are countries that always look to benefit, and by benefiting from this, by inciting hatred, inciting schism, inciting discord, and the country will collapse. Now, country is stronger. When the country is strong, the others will try to be careful not to touch it. And we see it now in what is happening in the Middle East, in Iran, in Iraq. When the country is rich, the international community, and especially the Western countries, they want to finish those and bring them to rubble and destroy them, so they go back to the ages of none. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the talk and for giving us a really strong overview of everything that's happened. We do have time. We do have time for questions. If there are any questions from either side.
Assalamu alaikum. Why do you think the UAE are supporting the Janjaweed?
As I earlier said, we had a very good relation with the rest of the Arab countries, but the same question you're asking me, we asked the United Arab Emirates. Why are you against the Sudanese people? Why are you allowing and supporting Hemeti to kill and to do all the atrocities against the Sudanese people? What we have got so far is that Emirates use Hemeti to smuggle the gold, and over 256 tons of gold have been so far smuggled illegally by Hemeti to United Arab Emirates. The second thing is the United Arab Emirates relation with Israel. I have to be honest with Israel. The Israelis have interest in Sudan being fragmented and unstable. So to support the Israelis in carrying their objective, they have to support Hemeti to destroy Sudan, and this is what's happening. The third thing is Arabization. Arabization means if Hemeti he wants to revive Quraysh back and bring the people back to the time of Prophet Muhammad, we have no problem with that. But ruling of a specific tribe and lowering the values of others, we will not accept. Emirates are working to support Hemeti to reproduce Quraysh, which we doubt is not going to work. Even though the United Arab Emirates tried to deny that they are supporting Hemeti, but the report came from the United Nations. It didn't come from us. It came from the United Nations that United Arab Emirates are supporting Hemeti. So this is what is happening.
So what's the proportion of Arabs and of the Arab West indigenous population?
The Sudanese people, like me, I'm black, I'm indigenous, but my mother tongue is Arabic. But I don't affiliate myself to Arabization or to Arab. I am an African, I'm a Sudanese, and I'm proud of being so. But I respect others, whether if he or she wants to become an Arab, that's okay. The proportion is that most of the Sudanese people, such like Hemeti, and they believe they are Arabs, but they are the majority, because they are the majority in not those from Darfur, because the northern part of Sudan, the northern part of Sudan were from other nationalities, from other families, from other tribes, but they believe they are Arabs inside themselves. This is what they believe, but they are not following the course of Hemeti of forming an Arab Quraysh Arab Quraysh project again.
Thank you, brother. If the UAE is supporting the Hemeti and his people, who is supporting the Sudanese government? I believe recently some new countries have started to support.
It's you see, because Sudan is under sanctions. There is a resolution 1591 that prohibits countries to support Sudan in terms of arms. But I'm not sure. But before the war, Sudan used to produce its own weapons. Now it has internationally they are allowed to buy some defensive weapons, and we thank Iran for having a good relation now with Sudan, and also Turkey also support, but it is not supporting Sudan in terms of weapons that are offensive. It is just for defensive procedures.
I also think that I do not think that Hemeti's people are saying he is the Mahdi and you should follow him.
Yeah, you see, it is he had a problem with Imam Sadiq al-Mahdi, and he put Imam Sadiq al-Mahdi in prison, and he came publicly and said, if we say put Imam Sadiq al-Mahdi in prison, the authority should do. If we say release him, they should release him. Now, those Arabs from Niger, from Mali, from Central Africa, from Chad, from Libya, believe that the revival of Arabization will be under Hemeti. Whether they think of him as a Mahdi or not, they believe him as the reviver. And now that is being not only questioned, is being put to the test, and hopefully in the next few months, Hemeti will be defeated completely.
Because Saudi Arabia was involved during this war. Apparently, many of the people who wanted to leave Sudan, Saudi Arabia sent ships to take them to wherever. So, how much involvement is Saudi Arabia in Sudan?
Yeah. Saudi Arabia plays a very important and big role in what is happening in Sudan. First of all, Hemeti is supporting the fighting against the Houthis in Yemen. He has forces there, and these forces were under the Saudis, the United Arab Emirates, and the Gulf countries fighting against the Houthis. So Hemeti is their boy. They want him to survive, because by him surviving, they will ensure provision of fighters to fight against the Houthis. The Sudanese people are not happy with people going and fighting against the Houthis. We've got nothing against them. The Yemenis have always been in Sudan. We have a good relation. I have been in Yemen. I worked in Yemen for a whole year. We are brothers. We are so close to each other, and we have got nothing to do with what Saudi and United Arab Emirates are doing to the Yemenis. So at the beginning, the Saudis managed to stage a conference and a peace plan called the Jeddah Plan, and this Jeddah Plan started a few weeks after the armed operation started, and in that they wanted people to go to have a peace agreement with the support of the United States. So still it didn't, because the Janjaweed and Hemeti did not heed the agreement. so it collapsed. But now the Saudis are working again to have that Jeddah peace plan to come back again. But we are aware that the Saudis are very vigilant for the Red Sea area, because the Red Sea area, the Russians want to have a base there, the Americans want to have a base, Turkey wants to have a base, and now also there are some accusations against Iran, but the Iranians came publicly and said they didn't apply for having a base in the Red Sea. So the Saudis still have a role in that.
Mr. El-Faki, very quick question, if that's okay. So there seems to have been a complete media blackout in the UK about what's happening in Sudan, and it seems to be very difficult to find out any information. When you talk about the numbers that have been killed, the numbers that have been destroyed, you'd expect a lot more hoo-ha about it here in the UK and also in other countries in the West. Is there a reason why nobody wants to talk about what's happening in Sudan?
Absolutely, I agree with you. I have been to the foreign secretary, and we raised all those issues. Not only once, so many times that the British are keeping a blind eye to what is happening in Sudan. They have their relation with Saudi Arabia, with United Arab Emirates. That's why the United Arab Emirates are not afraid of the international community, because the big guns like the United Kingdom is not coming out publicly and condemning what's happening there. They want the Sudanese people to sort it out themselves, but when the international organizations brought out the reports of people killed, 10 to 15,000 killed in Western Darfur alone, and now the estimates of people who have died as a result of this war is about 46,000 people killed in Khartoum alone. This is by the French intelligence, and that is just a small percentage of the overall people killed. But we are still in vague position not to understand why the British are not vocally coming out, and not only vocally, because Sudan is used to be a British colony, so it has a big influence. And I personally, I have had so many talks with senior officials about what is happening, but they promise that they are going to interfere, but nothing happening.
Just a question. So the Americans recently dipped their toes in Sudan, it seemed, in about 2019-20. Donald Trump's regime, I seem to remember. How do you think Donald Trump might impact in terms of Sudan when he gets re-elected? Do you think it's going to be a good thing for Sudan or a bad thing? Because it's a country of gold, so I'd imagine he'd be quite interested.
Yeah. I don't know, because we leave it for the Americans to see who wins for this new election. The good thing is Trump is straightforward. You understand his policies. It's not like Biden. He tells you something and then does something else. But now a lot of people in the United States are coming out that the Janjaweed are doing atrocities that is far beyond happened in 2003, and also the lady representative of the United States in the United Nations Security Council, Linda, she also now spoke about the atrocities, and the Janjaweed have to be put to account, and hopefully that is going to be the policy which will push for more actions against the Janjaweed. We have heard and we know that some work behind the scene is trying to put the Janjaweed as terrorists, to put them on the terrorist list, and hopefully that will work in the next few months. Hopefully.
Thank you very much. We do have to end there, but it was really good to see the strong number of questions. It shows how interested everyone is about this important topic. And thank you so much for giving us the chance of not only giving us the overview in such a short period of time, but also then your analysis of it. So thank you very much. Salat ala Muhammad wa al Muhammad. Just a reminder that our Ramadan program will be starting on Monday, on the 11th of March. We start at 5:30 with the children's program, followed by Maghrib and Isha prayers, followed by Iftar, a short talk, and then the Dua and Quran. Every Tuesday, just a reminder that every Tuesday we have trash-free Tuesdays. We're trying to be more sustainable and eco-conscious. So please try and ensure that we're not gonna provide any disposables. So please bring your own reusable cutlery, plate, and cups and glass. At least just for Tuesday. If you can for other days as well, please do so. We will be having wholesome Wednesdays, which is all about healthy food on Wednesdays. Not just vegetarian. It'll be wholesome food, which you'll hopefully enjoy a bit more than the vegetarian food that some people didn't like. You'll find out on Wednesday what couscous is, and so you can see what our program is on the screen. So inshallah, hopefully you have the chance to join us throughout the month of Ramadan. Salatu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
شكرا جزيلا.